Welcome and thank you for joining us. This discussion marks the launch of an exciting new partnership between Association of Colleges and UFI VocTech Trust, aimed at transforming the use of vocational technology in further education. So today we are joined by Catherine Tazan, Director of Education Policy at Association of Colleges, Anthony Painter, Director of Strategic Engagement at UFI VocTech Trust, Paul McKean, Director of Further Education, Skills and Training at JISC, and myself, Gabrielle Madders, Project and Partnerships Officer at UFI VocTech Trust. So I guess my first question to you all is, why now?
Shall I kick off, Gabby? Would that be a good idea? So why now? Because I think it's so timely. Lots of conversations going on regarding AI, for example, and how that operates and how that's going to impact on the college sector. And I think many colleges have really embraced technology, but we just need to make sure that all colleges and across all colleges, that all members of staff feel more confident so that they can enhance their own working practices, cut a little bit down on workload, and also support their students. So I think that's where we're coming from at AOC.
I think that's a good starting point, Kath. And I got to say up front how pleased and proud we are to have this partnership with the Association of Colleges. Stemming from that, to go to Gabby's question about why now, colleges are the lifeblood of communities. They're essential. They're the first port of call so often when people want to upskill, reskill, open out opportunities for themselves. And then, of course, vocational technology, or VocTech, is a means of driving that engagement, enhancing learning, the learning experience. It opens out new tools, capabilities for staff, for the institutions themselves. So to bring together the college environment, which, as you said, are already sort of actively embedding and adopting new technologies with VocTech, no matter how simple or basic or advanced and cutting edge, is a huge opportunity for ensuring there is a better baseline of innovation across the piece. And that's kind of where we want to get to see how we can learn from what colleges are doing, listen to colleges and their staff to understand what might work for them, and then work with AOC, JISC and others to realise that more widespread universal adoption.
And Gabby, why now from a JISC perspective is if we don't do it now, we never will. I think it's getting to be too late. We've been trying to do this from a JISC perspective for 25 years, and there's been two sort of seismic events, one of which we had no control over, which was COVID, that have driven this agenda where digital very much became the fore for all further education colleges for obvious reasons. But that was really around enabling learning, just to enable learners to continue to learn when there wasn't any alternative. But now, because of the public consciousness around generative AI, there's a real opportunity that the barrier to adoption has disappeared. Everybody, no matter what kind of job they have or thing they do in their private lives, are embracing generative AI. So there's a real opportunity to grasp that nettle, and also to recognise when the government is grasping AI generally around, the civil service, we need to do that in colleges. And one point that I would really raise, and it's something that I think we need all colleges to recognise, is sadly the digital divide that we already have is getting bigger, because the people who are already on this journey are really making strides and going further and further ahead. So I'm really delighted that JISC are involved in this project, because we see from AOC and UFI's perspective that the focus really isn't on them early adopters. It's about getting everybody up to that minimum level. And that's where we're delighted to be involved in our digital elevation tool. Through what we're seeing coming through that, we recognise that there is very much spiky profiles of colleges. And that's absolutely right. There isn't one size fits all. Everyone will have a different approach, but everybody can get on that journey. And we're really keen to make sure that everybody does.
Yeah, thank you. That's all really interesting, and it's great to see that alignment across organisations as well. So getting into the partnership, what are the specific objectives that we're aiming to see through this work together?
So I think actually, Gabby, as Paul and Anthony have already outlined, it's about enhancing the opportunities. So people have different levels of expertise and experience and confidence with regards to working with digital tools. And actually, as Paul said, it's about establishing that sort of base rate that we'd like everybody to be working at, and encouraging others to share good practice, to support each other, so that across the sector we're seeing that baseline of skills. For those who are already charging ahead, actually it's that opportunity to share those skills, and possibly to do something, as Anthony said. I really like that point about innovation. So it's perhaps the point, a platform to actually innovate. And obviously what we're starting with is a survey to try and establish where people are at within organisations and also across organisations in terms of colleges across the country.
I think if we do all that, we would have achieved an enormous amount. Look, when it comes to technology, and we know at UFI, I mean, we've seeded, we've funded, we've invested in hundreds of different innovations around vocational technology. We know there's bright ideas out there. We know there are things that in the real world are, improving the pace and quality of learning, the provision of learning at scale. And so, the opportunity to work across colleges to see as much as that implemented as possible is a great opportunity, and much more besides. But, context and capabilities are important. As Paul referenced the digital divide, you can never ignore that. Not everybody has the same degree of access when it comes to hardware, data, capabilities. So you have to make sure that the technology is relevant, it's usable, it's additive, that people have the skill set to use it. We talk about generative AI, actually having the skill to get the most out of that, understanding its shortcomings, but also understand its possibilities and being able to utilize that in your learning and development, or for teachers and tutors in preparing and developing their lesson plans, their assessment strategies, whatever it may be, requires a sort of focus to really get up to speed. And hopefully this project, starting with the survey, can understand what that focus is and what is required and how we get everyone up to speed. We know colleges are doing amazing innovative things already. Hull College is using Microsoft Translator in order to increase accessibility of those for whom English is not a first language to the classes, and sort of accelerating their learning, but actually sort of connecting them to the community, increasing their English language capability as well. Bolton College is using AI chatbots to help students, navigate the college experience, navigate their learning. That these innovations will be available to others as well. So I think success actually will be looking at stuff looking at the cutting edge, getting to a baseline, helping think through what it takes to be a college that can get the most out of technology in a relevant way. And by the way, just one further point on that as well, there are also physical divides, not just digital divides, and technology can help with those. Whether you can't actually upskill because you're busy in your working life, or you have care and responsibilities, or you're not close to a college, or it's difficult to travel there in a way, there are opportunities as well to address existing divides as much as a need to be aware of digital divides. So if we can put all this in the mix, learn for colleges themselves, really uplift the whole piece, then I think we'll be in a great place, through the partnership in 2-3 years' time.
No, it all sounds really exciting to see what we can achieve together. And Paul, just bringing you in there, it's great to see JISC to have that active role in the partnership. But could you tell me a little bit more about your involvement specifically?
Yeah, well, as I say, I mean, we want to help share. I mean, Catherine's already mentioned the point about sharing good practice. There's an awful lot of good practice across the sector. And going back to my point about spiky profiles before, this isn't all about the grade 1 outstanding provision. This is about the people who are just about doing what's needed at that time, the just-in-time type activity. And I think what we're trying to ensure we can do is, where appropriate, once we've got this baseline, is help individual colleges move to the next appropriate step in this journey that they choose to go on, because not everybody is aspiring. I mean, some great examples from Anthony with Hull and Bolton, but not everybody has had the sort of 5-6 years worth of immaturity to get to where they are. There's lots starting on the journey. I mean, one of the exciting bits for me is there's 200 colleges actively using our digital elevation tool. So these are 200 colleges who are at least self-assessing where they're currently at. That means there's 100 plus colleges across the UK that haven't yet taken that step and either think they're already on that journey and are satisfied with where they're at, or haven't even got out the starting blocks. And they're really where we want to make sure we have engagement. As JISC, as a technology education charity, a lot of people's first contacts with JISC is when they kind of realise they need to engage in digital. Having UFI and AOC involved in this conversation means it comes from a different place now. It's about the ubiquitous nature of education rather than education technology. So it's a different way in for us, but I think we've got a great amount of expertise within JISC itself, within the sector, some great good practice that we can share at an appropriate level and at the right time for a college. There's nothing worse than having an aspiration as a college and then not knowing how to get something, being excited about something, but then I don't know how to get there. We can point them to the college down the road, the college in a different nation who's achieved the same as they want to achieve, so they can hopefully make a bit of a shortcut and maybe not make the mistakes or have the failures that others have done on that journey in the past.
Yeah, that all sounds really valuable, and great assets to have our resource available. And I understand from what we've talked about that we also have a member survey as part of this partnership, which we've launched alongside the beginning of the partnership. So could you tell me a little bit more about this?
Yeah, so the survey is the first step, I suppose, in establishing that baseline. As Paul said, a lot of colleges are now using the elevation tool, which sort of asks you how confident you feel against a series of statements. And I suppose what we're doing is sort of summarising that to get a moment in time overview of where colleges are at. And we're asking senior leaders, we're asking teachers, we're asking learning support staff, business support staff to get involved, because this isn't just about those people who are directly involved in teaching and learning, because when you're in college, everybody is important and has an impact on the students. So it's a fairly short questionnaire, it's easily accessible, won't take long, and you should be able to complete it on your own in a relatively short space of time. So we really encourage people to get involved, because then that will help us think about the next stage in terms of this project and where we want to take it at that next stage.
What I like about this partnership, and both Paul and Catherine have touched on this, is one at the core of it is a set of standards, a digital elevation tool. So there's something to aim for. There's a clear focus, and then the survey enables this sort of listening exercise, so we can get a deeper understanding about where colleges are, maybe some of the barriers that they may be facing. So please fill in the survey, because we'd love to have a wide cross-section of responses to give us an even deeper appreciation about how we might move this forward. And look, if we get this right, I mean, the outcomes are immense, actually. Not only do we ensure that everybody's at the same sort of foundation point, the same baseline, we might even be able to help shift the pack. And if we do that, actually we'll improve student experience, we'll give teachers and tutors a wide array of tools at their fingertips. We'll see better outcomes, and that will impact communities, lead to greater opportunity, more thriving local economies, better public services. So the goal's immense. So I think we can work very hard on this, and if we achieve the core aim, we'll see real impacts over the course of the partnership.
Yeah, I think just listening to you all, the potential for this, it is really exciting. And I think as we bring this discussion to a close, firstly want to thank you all for your kind of time and engagement, but actually really emphasize that this partnership does represent an exciting step towards empowering further education and the sector through technology. And to AOC members to really reiterate what Anthony and Catherine have both spoke about, that your insights and participation, especially through the survey, are going to be essential to shaping the success of this initiative. So for more information about the partnership and to access the survey, please follow the link provided on screen. Please note the survey does close at 5 p.m. on Friday, the 4th of April. So we really encourage your participation before that deadline. Let's work together to ensure everyone benefits from the opportunities that we've all spoke about that VocTech has to offer. Catherine, Anthony and Paul, thank you all once again for a really insightful discussion.